everybody. It's my wedding in about a week, so I got my hair cut. I got my super cool picture of me from college that I used to just get laid off all the time, as you can probably assume. So let's talk about Trey and Arturo, because, and this is the first thing I sort of want to dive into that I think is kind of funny. Trey, our nominal protagonist, is based on me. Probably the least interesting character. Only insofar as, I'll tell you, we didn't make this movie for a long time or tell this story for a long time. If you're familiar with my writing and the writing I do with Abe, we like make-em-ups, right? Or we like parodying genres that we love, or making a sketch that apes genre fiction, genre films. And I similarly have never thought of myself as a memoirist or, I guess, journalist, but never borrowing from my own life. Just not that kind of writer. But I think we all kind of think our childhoods are normal. Well, not all of us. I'll speak for myself. I had stuff that other people find very interesting or unique, or is statistically unique, highly normalized for me. And so in real life, my dad came out as gay, and we were like, that's awesome. And he came out as a furry, and we were also like, I don't really care. It's not a huge deal. But for the film to work and to be a journey of acceptance, right, Trey has to start in a slightly different spot. We've done a lot of fiddling. Every character is a balance. And in Trey's case, I talked in the Hank update about the balance between being flawed enough to feel like a complex character, but being not flawed enough that people don't walk away going, he was a bad father, because he wasn't, or at least Hank is not. I don't think my dad is. That's the point. And in Trey's case, I think the two sides of that coin are that, like any character that wants to grow and sort of aspirationally show you how you could grow if you need to grow, or even just remind you of something important that you already knew. He needs to have an obstacle or have a deficiency that allows him to grow, be confused, be in turmoil, be in crisis, so he can overcome that crisis and have catharsis. So the other side of that, so he needs to be confused, he needs to dunk on furries a bit, even in some cases. But then the other side of that, right, of course, is he's a sad sack piece of crap, who just feels sorry for himself. Now, in real life, I've been that guy for lengths of time because I have bad depression. So, I think even that is more sympathetic and complex than we give it credit for. But in a movie, if your hero's just feeling sorry for themselves all the time, even if you call it out, they're not pleasant to ride along with. Sometimes you want that effect. Maybe you want the audience to feel unpleasant. We don't. We're not making that experimental of a film in this case. So Trey's got to be likable to some degree, or at least not hateable to a degree where you go, that kid needs years of work to redeem himself. He's a bigot. I hate him. So that is the line we're threading with Trey. Sorry, these updates are off the cuff. We're stretched thin. It's we're doing a lot. So forgive the unscripted nature, but I just wanted to say from earlier that so I found it highly normalized, but the reason we sort of went down this road and ended up deciding to do this movie, ultimately, was that every time throughout my life, people just asked what my parents were like or childhood was like, and that just came up organically. I'd tell the Tater Tots story if you've read the script or saw the previous update, or I'd mention that my dad's a gay furry, really not to provoke, truly it was normalized for me, just as a fact that came up in the biography, and people would go, that's amazing, that's your movie, and 10 people have done that. So I decided to write it. Abe and I have written many, many screenplays together. I've written a handful on my own, more with Abe. I wrote a great one with Adam Ganzer recently called Sklarmageddon, May the Best Man Win, but that's a story for another day. Never wrote one based on my life. And at the same time, Abe and I are mid and late 30s now, and realized that you can see my very first update, Michael Swain Movie Boy, if you want to hear more about this, but the whole reason we're doing this is, we've never had reps, we've never had agents, we've never been part of any official union, SAG or WGA, although power to the unions. And we've always felt like it is who you know to some degree, and it is luck to some degree. You have to have skill, it helps, but Hollywood is fickle that way. And the gatekeepers, such as they are, when our moments have come, and we've gotten close a lot, they've always ultimately said no so far. And we're reaching our late 30s. I'm about to get married. I want to have a kid soon. And we realize, who we owe our whole careers to. We know this, but you forget and remember. Our fans. Like the only people who have given us permission and told us your work is worthwhile. It's helping me. It's making me laugh, if nothing else. Or beyond that in some cases. Made me feel less alone, normalized something, told a story that resonated with me. Only the fans have let us know that we're doing that and that our work matters. So beyond just thanking you, the reason I bring that up is we were just talking, and I think it is a time of life where you start to think, do I need to do it the right way? Do I want to be famous and powerful and succeed at the 99th percentile in my chosen industry to prove that I can do it and that I worked hard enough that everyone respects me and maybe I could win an Oscar and all of the daydreams of a young man? And it really boils down to, and I'm glad it does, if you truly love the art form that you've found, I can let all of that go. That's just ego stroking. I just want to spend time on Earth doing my thing that I like and think I'm good at. So Abe and I had that very frank conversation, and philosophically we're like, let's do it the hard way. And that is to say, rely on our fans and the fact that we have confidence in our skills and we think we can do this, and just try and do it from the ground up. So that's what we're doing. I lost the thread about Trey. But anyway, you know how protagonists work. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel with Trey. He's your identity character, so he inhabits the mental space that we expect statistically the bulk of people we hope to reach with the movie will be coming from, which is to say they've heard of furries, they don't love them, they don't hate them, they have sort of an unformed opinion about them, but they heard weird stuff about them. Isn't that weird sex thing? Not that I'm against that, but I heard it was like some weird sex thing with cartoons. That's where most people are coming from, and that's where Trey's at the beginning of his journey, and of course, he grows from there. I also wanted to take a moment in this update, I think it's going to be a long one, folks, hang in there, to talk about Arturo. If you've read the script, you know he is the young man who's a fur who my dad invited to live in the guest room. In the new draft, to heighten conflict, really good note from Soren Bowie, it's my bedroom. We made it so the house only has one bedroom, and Trey's almost going to college, so his dad figured he could fudge it, and it's okay if this guy crashes here, you barely here anyway, you could sleep on the couch. Great note, Soren. It makes the conflict direct and the symbolism much more clear. But regardless, in real life, Arturo's based on a guy named Joey who did his persona as a Clydesdale, just like in the movie. Not named Bojack. I'm not trying to dox anyone. And just like in the movie, he'd fallen on really hard times because he was queer, because he finally came out and his family disowned him and his all this shit. And he had to transplant from where he was at in a Midwest state in a tiny town that's horrible to people who discover what he's discovering about himself. And he was also a fur, and he met my dad online. And just about the time I was going to move out of the house with like a year overlap, he moved into the guest room. He didn't impinge on my bedroom. And as I said, I've always had a very open mind. I was taught, like, if it doesn't impact you, it's none of your business. If it doesn't hurt anyone, it's not really a problem. So that's kind of where I was at. But at the same time, I won't say it's not awkward. It wasn't weird, just by virtue of the fact that my 40-something dad has a 22-year-old dude living in the guest room. And so the scenes where my friends were weirded out or left a party early because they don't understand what's going on, the thing with Tater Tots literally happened where he came out in only cut off jean shorts and hooves. So Joey was in many ways an odd guy, and I feel confident saying, because I discovered this about myself over the last 5 years, but I think he was neurodivergent to some degree, had a really hard path in life. And at first, and I think this is what's so fascinating about the story, and specifically the Arturo Hank connection, my dad's weird. And by weird, I mean he does a bunch of things that other people don't statistically do often. And one of those things is, in his mid-40s, he'll reach out online, hear that a young kid is in trouble, and he does not know this person. He only knows that he came out as queer and now he has nowhere to live. And they both have the same interest, which is to say pop culture featuring anthropomorphic animals. And he says, why don't you move into my guest room until you get on your feet? And the arc in the film is true, which is to say, most people hear that and they think, oh, you just came out, you're fucking this 20-year-old kid. In having him live in your guest room, I mean, it's legal, but it's a little weird. I have nothing against gay people, but that feels a little exploity, doesn't it? They never had sexual contact of any kind. I can attest to this. And it was, in fact, something we try to capture in the movie. More of an empty nest syndrome thing, I think, as a 37-year-old looking back. My dad wanted to keep using his dad muscle, and he had a very paternal relationship with this kid. Young man, but as a 37-year-old, 22-year-old seem like kids to me still now. Really helped him get his life back on track in a way that I just deeply admire now as a grown man, and is extraordinarily kind and generous, and he had no real reason to do that other than like a kinship and a spirit of generosity, which my dad has always had, and which I love him for very much. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little choked up. But that's Trey and Arturo, I think. Joey was not actually a furry artist. We made Arturo a furry artist, and an accomplished one at that, because we want that strengthens the Arturo Sarah arc. And we just felt that including drawn comic art as an element in the plot is crucial. Because as I've said, the main thing you need to know about furry fandom, if you're only going to learn one thing, is it's exactly like going to any comic convention. You just notice, oh, all the characters are animal characters. Like, they're superheroes, but they're animals. They're spies, but they're animals. Just like any cartoon animal. Any Pixar shit, Robin Hood, any of that shit. It's just a specific subgenre of pop culture. Okay, the last thing I want to announce, and it's a big one, is right after this, I'm going to post immediately. So if you're listening to this and you haven't checked it out, please do. The Papa Bear movie poster. That's right, our movie poster. Our movie already has a poster. And to thank for that, we have Michael Vincent Bramley. Please reach out on Twitter and shout him out. Thank him. Tell him what a great job he did. I know for a fact it was a difficult poster. If you support us at the $25 level, you have gotten or will soon get a link to the very high-res digital copy of the poster, and I encourage you to zoom in because it's wild, the level of detail. So MVB worked very, very hard on it. It's a labor of love. Even at a distance, it looks great. The detail is shocking if you zoom in. So I'm going to post just the standard res version for everyone to see and hopefully keep interest high. Please feel free to share the poster far and wide if you like it. Let us know if you like it. We'd love to know. But let MVB know that he did a great job. He's also sort of the in-house Small Beans artist. If you know Small Beans, he's done a ton of our podcast tiles. Dude's got great range, like Spiel Boys to Escape from the Multicurse to Star Trek The Next Futurama, all him. And this, I showed you my shrine to my dead cat earlier, but there's the zoom in of it, the bigger poster version. Also super good. He's just good. The point is, Trey, Arturo, poster. Next update's going to be from Abe. Look forward to that. And then we'll have a very, very special announcement a couple days after that I'm excited for. Please keep spreading the word, even if you've already pledged. If you're looking at me say this, calls to action help psychologically, they say. So I'm telling you, there's a human being on the other side of the camera. I sincerely want to make this movie for you guys. It's going to be so good. I've worked 15 years to be good enough to do this, and I am. Thank you. Let's do this. All right. See you next time.